Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. With me in studio today is Patricia Benedict. She was at the courthouse on Monday, the 27th, when she saw Bounty, and the people, the guys behind her were saying, Bounty, Bounty. They were calling his name. But let Patricia tell you what she experienced there in court on Monday. Patricia?
Yes, Mr. Veronica asked for the complex to ask some questions. And whilst we were at the security by Mr. Chief Magistrate's court, we were ushered to go into a room between the toilets and the clerk's office. There were like maybe 10 to 12 persons there. And then when they told us to come outside, when we were going back out, went out of the chief magistrate, when I was going outside the door, I saw this individual going into a car, and then these two young fellas saying, Bounty, Bounty, shouting Bounty. And then I heard the security guard say, why would they shouldn't let him, the guys, they shouldn't allow the security, shouldn't allow those guys to be shouting for Bounty name. Then I asked somebody else, is that Bounty? They told me yes, but I will still say allegedly.
Because you didn't see him? Or you saw someone?
I saw him.
Right.
I saw the person getting into the MP car. I saw it. I saw the person. That's why the guys were able to shout him.
Mm-hmm.
And he shouted back at them.
Right.
But I will still say allegedly. But there were two media personnel out there, and I'm surprised nothing was said. I didn't see nothing, I heard anything about it.
Right, exactly. So that means that he had to appear, because once you appear in court the first time, then you are there for 3 weeks, whatever, up there at the hotel, St. Philip, and then you come down and you plead guilty or not guilty. I don't think he will have a bail hearing, because there are 3 murder charges. So do you know anything about that? Does he have to wait for 6 months, 9 months? Does he have to wait before he can actually put in...
I am not too sure, but if it's innocent until proven guilty. But when it comes to but I know for a fact somebody had, when I was in custody, somebody had allegedly on what's it called? What's the bail name? When you say 28 days up there, they were there for a little while because of alleged gun charges. So they were there almost maybe a year. So I don't know what the procedure is would be with him.
But the new Bail Act is making people, especially when you are charged, it's not that he's guilty, but you're charged with like serious crimes, like guns. And when you're using those guns, and when someone has died and your name is being called, he may be up there for maybe a year or 2 before he can apply for bail. I don't know. But one thing I wanted to mention, and it's kind of political, but I wanted to mention this because he and, what's his name, Michael Lashley were close, and he and the general, as they will call her, Mia Motley, they were close, and these guys worked to elect, they worked to have their people put the X next to these people's names when the voting season comes around. So now that Michael Lashley and Mia Motley are getting together, they're not together yet. Lashley has not signed on to the BLP as yet, but people are estimating and they're thinking that he is. How does Bounty feel? Because it's like backs are being turned on him. The people that he felt that he had on his side are now turning their backs on him. So he is in a precarious type situation. I don't know what he's going to do.
I don't know about that part, but I mentioned about the security part. I could mention about the security part that they would definitely not let anything happen to him. Mm-hmm. That's all I could say. I know for a fact there are people watching him, over him, in that prison. I know that for a fact. So, but the part with the
So the people watching over him, and nothing bad happening to him, and yet you're hearing that he's getting bony because he's not eating the food. Can't they bring some food?
If he can't, listen to me, if he doesn't want to eat his food, that's his choice. But I can assure you one thing, and I'm not going to say it because they didn't want, because when I was in there, they were doing the same thing to me to watch. When certain people wanted to try to do stuff to me, they had sent someone to send word that they were watching. And it's the same thing, but the food part, I don't know, because I'm a little fish, I still had to eat the food. I still had to eat the food, but I understand where he is coming from when he doesn't want to eat the food. And I would suggest something, not only to him, Miss Veronica, every person that has family there, when it comes to the doctors too, I would suggest to them to see a private doctor. I'm not going to details why, but I would suggest to them that to see a private doctor.
What do you mean? What do you mean that you're suggesting to the prisoners to see a private doctor?
Yes.
So can they just say I want my private doctor to come in here and see me, or do you have to request that, and do you have to go through procedures? You don't have much.
You do.
You don't have.
You do, because it says so. You could either have the police, or you could have a private doctor.
But even though you can't have a private doctor, you still have to put in that request and wait for it to be approved. No.
Well, it will be approved because it will be approved because you have a choice. There you have a choice, because I've seen many times people go, but they have the prisoners, the prison guards escorting them to if they have an eye appointment or to see a private doctor, they do that.
Okay.
But it's at your expense. I know that for a fact.
Well, if it's private, it's always at your expense. If it's private.
But I would suggest to people to do that. A lot of people, especially if they're vulnerable people and the people are looking to really do them something, I would suggest them do not.
Because a private doctor cannot be bribed, right?
Not bribe. Listen to me. But give you the right. I'm not saying that this. I could speak for myself, but for getting the right medication too.
Yeah, because you're saying you're talking as though a private doctor cannot be infiltrated, but that's okay. Go ahead.
No. I'm not saying not. Don't get me wrong, but. We have to. This is another topic, Ms. Veronica.
Right.
It's another topic.
Right. No problem. No problem.
But we allegedly there was bounty there, and I heard nothing about it in the media. So I guess when anybody else would have said something about it.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So this little blog is not little. It was almost 10 minutes. Jeez. Yeah, we were just talking about Bounty being in the court on Monday, and you didn't see it in the news, you didn't hear it anywhere else but naked departure, and that's because Patricia Benedict was there. So, and then people were shouting for Bounty, and Patricia saying that he actually answered. He shouted back at them. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to say?
All right. That's it, though. But
okay.
We have it there. That's it.
Okay.
No.
Okay. This is Sherry Veronica, Naked Departure Radio.
Help me spread the word about Naked Departure via social media. Subscribe and share to show support and love for our channels.